Imagine a guy named Marcus who works part-time at a store and is trying to keep his life together. One night after work, a friend he trusts texts him, "I really need you to cover for me. You're the only real one I have." At first it sounds small, almost harmless. But that's the hook. The friend adds pressure by making Marcus feel special, guilty, and responsible all at once. That kind of tactic shows up a lot in manipulation. Charm, guilt-tripping, and emotional pressure can be used to steer someone into saying yes when they wanted to say no. Marcus hesitates, and the friend changes tactics. Now it becomes, "Wow, I guess I thought you cared more than that." That line is dangerous because it turns a simple request into a test of loyalty. Instead of debating the actual favor, the conversation gets pulled into identity and guilt, which is exactly where manipulators like to win. Subtle manipulation often works by keeping the target emotionally off balance while making the manipulator's request seem like the reasonable option. Later, Marcus notices a second pattern. Every time he brings up a concern, the friend acts confused, jokes around, or shifts the topic to Marcus's tone instead of the issue. That kind of deflection can make a person doubt themselves and stop pushing back. In conversations like this, the goal is not always to convince you directly. Sometimes it is simply to wear down your confidence until you stop resisting. A few days later, Marcus sees the same thing happen at work. A coworker asks for a shift swap, but when Marcus says he needs time to think, the coworker replies, "Don't make this awkward." That sentence sounds casual, but it is actually social pressure disguised as normal conversation. Manipulation often hides inside everyday language, especially when someone tries to make your boundaries look rude, selfish, or unnecessary. Marcus starts noticing a pattern. When he is calm and clear, people can't move him as easily. When he explains himself too much, they keep poking holes in his reasons. When he gets emotional, they steer the whole conversation into that emotion. That is why subtle manipulation is so effective. It does not always look like aggression. It can look like friendliness, concern, or disappointment. How it works. Manipulation usually targets one of a few weak spots: guilt, fear, urgency, confusion, or the need to be liked. A manipulator may flatter you first, then add pressure, then make you feel bad for hesitating. They may also use silence, repeated asking, shifting blame, or making your boundaries seem unreasonable. The most common trick is to get you reacting emotionally instead of thinking clearly. Once you are upset, you are easier to steer. Another common move is to blur the issue so you end up defending your character instead of discussing the actual request. That is why manipulation often feels slippery. The topic keeps changing, but the pressure keeps growing. Sneaky defense. The best defense is not aggression, it is calm distance. Pause before answering, because a delay breaks the pressure cycle and gives you back control. Short answers are powerful. "I'll think about it," "not today," or "that doesn't work for me." Clear boundaries are recommended because manipulators tend to push until they hit a firm line. Ask one clarifying question instead of arguing too much. For example, "What exactly are you asking me to do?" Or "Why does this have to happen right now?" Questions force the other person to become specific, which makes vague pressure much less effective. Repeating their words back in a neutral way can also expose the tactic without starting a fight. Use the grey rock style when someone keeps trying to provoke you. Stay boring, brief, and unemotional. Don't over-explain. Don't defend every detail, and don't reward the manipulation with a dramatic reaction. If they keep crossing the line, end the interaction instead of trying to win it. Simple script lines. "I'm not deciding under pressure. That doesn't work for me. I hear you, but my answer is still no. Let's stay on the actual issue. I'm going to think about it and get back to you." Practical habits. Watch for patterns, not just single moments. If someone repeatedly makes you feel guilty, rushed, confused, or small, that is a warning sign. Write down the situation afterward if it keeps happening, because patterns are easier to see on paper than in the moment. Also know your trigger points. If guilt gets you every time, prepare one sentence ahead of time. If pressure gets you, practice saying no without filling the silence. If someone tries character attacks, bring the conversation back to facts. The goal is to become harder to steer, not harder to love.